somebody living with HIV could not prove that they disclosed their HIV status to their partner, everybody was sentenced under the same penalty, which was 25 years in jail and 10 years on the sex offender registry.
Didn't speak to the intent of the person, didn't speak to the fact that they were or could be receiving care. Their viral loads could be 0, and they could still be prosecuted.
There were 3 cases in Iowa that were really compelling. One is Nick Rhodes. He did everything right. He was on his medication, had an undetectable viral load, used a condom. HIV was not transmitted, and yet he was still sentenced to 25 years in jail. Don, who also was doing everything right, taking his medication so his viral load was suppressed, he lost his job because he was convicted under 709C. Leslie, who had been in an abusive relationship, he was using 709C to coerce and manipulate her into staying. When he was beating her up, if she would call the police, he would say, "You didn't disclose your status," and have her arrested, which actually happened to her.
Take the test, risk arrest was very well known, and if you did know your status and you didn't disclose, even if you were doing everything right, in fact that was a risk of criminal proceedings against you.
One of our first steps was to get the HIV community to all agree and to speak with one voice. The studies that show that these laws actually prevent people from getting tested and in treatment because of the stigma or just the worry about being prosecuted.
We said this disease shouldn't be treated any differently than hepatitis, tuberculosis, or any other communicable diseases. So that was our first effort, was to say, okay, let's not have this special class of disease.
The first year that we came, we didn't have a bill introduced. It was just an educational opportunity. We had the fact sheets to start introducing the need for modernizing Iowa's law. So we were doing community forums, anywhere where we could go and be invited to speak.
I think Tammy was a big piece of why this issue wasn't politicized, because if there was a poster child, she was our poster child. A heterosexual female involved in a monogamous heterosexual relationship who contracted the disease through no fault of her own. To demonize her would have undermined the bigots and the haters.
Whenever somebody would hear about HIV, it was usually through the media after somebody had been arrested and charged. Part of our campaign was to educate the media so that when they did report on this, they would have some facts.
What I did was I visited with colleagues about this, and mostly in closed settings. People were afraid of the issue. Common sense says that you should have a law to protect people from HIV exposure. They weren't looking at, gee, this is a public health disaster, this disclosure law. Well, it's causing people all over not to test, not to know their status, because if in fact they knew their status, they then have all these criminal penalties for not disclosing in a certain way, and oftentimes, you know, we get into a he said, she said situation.
Senate File 2297 is an incredible first step for Iowans. We had bipartisan support to get this law passed and signed by the governor, which was an incredible day. Everyone who has been prosecuted solely on 709C has been taken off the sex offender registry in Iowa.